Welcome to the Dice Tower Top 10. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Zeke Garcia. What's up?
And I'm Sam Healy. Hello, everyone.
Today we're going to be talking about our top 10 two-player strategy games. But before we get into our list, I have two things I need to say.
Uh-oh.
Okay, the first one's good. The second one's not so good.
Here we go.
Okay, the first one is, if you notice my shirt here, it says, what does it say? Character Meeples on Kickstarter. There actually is a Kickstarter right now where you can buy little character meeples to stick in your games. Run by Meeple Source from Orlando, Florida, from our state here. And they're little characters, so like if you want zombie or robot meeples, you can add them. It's a pretty cool thing. But they've just added another dice tower meeple. Ooh. Like little dice towers. They're not shaped like regular meeples, but you could use them in like Carcassonne if you wanted to. Huh. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. It's a neat thing. And so
cool.
Check them out. It's ending this Sunday though, which is the 14th, 15th, 16th. 14th, 15th, the 16th of March, 2014. And if you're watching this too late, well, maybe you could still buy them from their website, Meeple Source.
Hello, 2017 people from the future.
Okay. The second thing, you know someone's going to comment, oh, it's 2017 and he's talking to me. The second thing is, on our previous list, top 10 two-player casual games, I'm going to admit that I was incorrect, I think.
Incorrect about what?
About what? Yeah.
Oh, thank you, guys. No, Caverna, I think, while I consider it to be a casual game, as I was making this list, I thought the inevitable backlash of every single game, and people would say, Caverna is more complex than that. Caverna is more complex than that. And so, to stave you off, I was incorrect, and I should have just substituted Agricola, All Creatures Great and Small. Instead, which I know you don't like, but I do.
He was just going to stop
Agricola. It's like,
wow. Okay.
If there was a camera over there, I'd be staring at it.
Yeah, right.
All right, so accept my apologies on that. I apologize. I didn't actually add it to this list because then that would have made no sense having it on both lists.
Did you put Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small on this list?
No.
That's the way to go. That's what I would have done.
So anyway, these are the two-player games. We call these the strategy ones. In essence, these are our favorite two-player games, but we don't necessarily would introduce new gamers to them immediately. I wouldn't. Would you?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about criteria. Last time your criteria was 5 minutes or less. What's your criteria this time?
Wow.
6 minutes or less?
10 minutes or less.
No, I mean, it's
7.5 minutes.
It was just, I mean, if it felt like it might be more complicated, each turn gave the player who might not be familiar with games just one too many options, something like that. You know, there's each game kind of has its own criteria.
All right.
Criterion, I should say.
But you're saying that if a two-player game is one of your favorite two-player games, it would make either of these lists. It would be at least one of these two lists.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Same with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no two-player games we're missing.
No.
Okay.
I don't think
That we're
so.
missing?
What I mean is there's not a third two-player list. It's if it's one of our favorite two-player games, it's either on the casual list or it's on this list.
Yes. Now, a caveat on top of that, I like two-player games a lot, and there are many I had to leave off both of these lists.
Yes, this was a list that I was like, wow, I got like 50 almost right away, and I just cut them off.
Right.
Also, I just like to stave off the inevitable backlash against the lack of two-player heavy war games on here. Oh well, that's my list anyway.
Yeah, that's a completely different list. I mean,
That's
the
all- that's
top
basic.
10 war games.
Check with the ham tag guys for that,
Yes.
because unlike them, we stay with what we know. So anyhow,
Ow!
Oh, no, he didn't.
let's go.
Apply water to affected area.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10. My number 10 is a game that it's a very simple, very easy game to play. It is almost...
Wrong list, man. Wrong list.
It is almost
Game over, man.
too simple for this list, but the reason I'm including it on this list is the setup and takedown is so involved.
Jenga.
No.
Heroescape?
Heroescape.
Yeah! Good call. Good call.
Number 10, my number 10 is Heroescape. It's a really cool game to play, especially with two players. It actually can scale up, because the larger your army is, the more you can kind of divide it up and have different generals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is just a two-player game. it just takes so long to set up, and it takes so long to put away. Unless you've got these bends around, you just go
Well, you
like somebody.
you could have put it on your casual list if you play with the basic rules of the game, which no one should ever
no
do.
one ever does that. I never do that.
But even the
yeah.
basic rules don't have a button you can press and the thing builds itself.
Exactly.
That
That's
would
what
be
I'm saying.
awesome.
It would be awesome. But
me.
as the way HeroScape is right now, it is not a casual game because it's so involved to set it up and take it down. So it squeaks in. One of my favorite 2-player games is HeroScape, but it's got to be on this list, number 10.
I did put it on my list only because I like it in groups better.
Multiple.
I like lots of people playing it. Like 3, it's still played as a team versus team thing usually.
Oh, okay.
All right, my number 10, 2-player game, because it's on the correct list here.
You know what this is?
X-Wing Miniatures, which is a wonderful 2-player game.
That popularly is played with 3 players, from what people have said.
All right, so yeah, no, but it's super fun. I really like the idea of throwing in some X-Wings versus TIE Fighters, and Fantasy Flight just keeps releasing more ships for it all the time. I mean, they just, well,
Right?
yeah, it's cha-ching to some degree, but they are really cool-looking ships. And,
Yeah.
Great.
and it is,
Quality.
and the game is really fun, because many other companies like Wizards of the Coast have done Star Wars miniature games that have just fell apart, because while the miniatures were cool, the game itself wasn't that interesting. Anyway, my number 10, Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures.
Cool. My number 10 is Battle Lore by Richard Borg. I have not played the new one, Battle Lore 2nd Edition, they call it, right? 2.0.
Wipes the floor with the first one.
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. So there you go. But I played the Days of Wonder one. I really like it. It's sort of like Memoir 44, but which Sam talked about on the previous list, but with some magic thrown in there, and I really like that. That's why it's my favorite from that series of games, the Command Colors, right? Is that what they're
You
called?
would agree, I think. You called Memoir a casual game,
Yeah.
but you would agree that Battle Lore is a step up into the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, no, I was just curious if you were going to shoot him down.
So I really like
would
it.
agree with
It's
that.
tactical. It's a good war game. I really like it. Battle Lore, my number 10.
He called it a war game, everyone.
And I went like that.
Number 9.
My number 9 is the newest game on this list because it's not yet out in stores, but will be next month, and that is Marvel Dice Masters. Now, while I think that Marvel Dice Masters is a fairly simple game to play, I had to put it on this list because the collecting of the cards and building your own deck is not a casual thing.
Right.
It's not a casual thing to tell someone to build their own. I don't think any CCG could be put on a casual list unless you have pre-made decks and you give them to people.
Right.
Because the building your deck is something that's not casual at all. That takes a game and you're like, And that's the way this game is. But this game is fun. So much fun. I really enjoy it and love the Marvel versus Marvel thing. And looking forward to taking Superman and beating up Juggernaut.
You've been taking some heat on this online, by the way.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, okay. This is-
Well, no, okay. Well, let's respond to the heat real quick then. Some
let's do
people
it.
said that the game isn't thematic because you can have hero versus the hero, which the game is called X-Men vs. Avengers. If you follow the comics, which I do, they did fight each other for kind of a dumb reason, but they fought each other, and in Marvel they all fight each other for various things.
Wow, holy cow.
Oh, God.
Also, for anybody who calls this Quarriors, it is not. It uses one of the mechanisms of Quarriors, but it doesn't feel like Quarriors much at all. It feels like a completely different game.
I disagree.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Who's the curmudgeon now?
Anyway, speaking of collecting and deck building, my number 9 is Magic the Gathering. A Richard Garfield design of yesteryear.
Of yesteryear. Way back when I was a kid.
Back in the early 90s, cardboard was made from paper still. And what do they make?
Where were you going with that?
Anyway, you've heard of it probably, Magic the Gathering. Collect cards and build decks and beat the snot out of somebody else. And
Probably.
that's the deal. So I really like it. I do like it. Obviously, this is not, like you said, something you would introduce to anybody who hasn't touched something like it before because the rules are complex and there's a ton of them. and there's timing issues and all that.
I think
jazz,
you can
but
make 2 starter decks to teach people it fairly easily.
They have to be really simple, yeah.
They do, right. They do.
But anyway, that's my number 9, Magic: The Gathering.
That was my number 11, and Sam's number 12.
No, it wasn't. All right, my number 9. This is the heaviest game on my list, and it's a pretty heavy game as far as I can tell. I think it's heavy, so
Ogre.
there you go.
Ogre?
No. I'm not talking about actual physical weight. I'm talking about mental capacity necessary to do well.
Mind trap.
That is Twilight Struggle. A game that I have really enjoyed over the past few years, and it is a game that I wish I owned, but I just haven't. I mean, the only people that I would really ever play it with is him, and he has it, so not gonna shell out the cash for it. But Twilight Struggle is really cool, Cold War era game to where one of you plays the. I said I wasn't gonna say to where. I'm not gonna. I heard you. I say to where a lot. I do. I heard you. I'm not gonna try to say it anymore.
Who's he talking
I'm
to?
freaking out, man! Why don't you put her in charge, man?
But anyway, Twilight Struggle had to make my list. I've enjoyed it so much. Really captures the Cold War feeling well. Both of you are really going at it, trying to gather, you're trying to dissect the European. It's awesome. Yeah, it's exactly
delicious.
like
I think it's a casual game. But you know what? Even though Sam says it's hard and heavy and difficult, if you're someone who's like opposed to war games, I would still say look at it because it is.
It abstracts
It's
all
such
the
a
lore away.
strong thematicness to it that it's not. It's basically a heavy area control game.
It really does feel like you're in the middle of the Cold War. I mean,
Right.
of course, that's what it's made for. But there's not a whole lot of shoot. And there's not any of that really. I mean, there's pictures on the cards, but the gameplay is really a really tight back and forth. I really enjoy it. So Twilight Struggle, my number 9.
All right.
Number 8.
All right, my number 8 is, I think, probably one of the newest games on this list, actually. Yeah, and this is a game put out by Z-Man Games called Targi. And Targi, I know it was out in Europe, actually, for a few years before it came out here.
This is like one of the Cosmos 2-player games, right?
I want to say it was originally, and now they don't even...
But aren't those
I don't know if
usually
they
very
still even-
simple?
Not necessarily. This one has a bite to it. It's sort of like a spatial game where you place workers and collect cards where the workers intersect.
That's what it's on. It's
And,
on your worker
uh,
placement game.
And it's some set collection going on also on top of the spatial element to it. The theme is very thin. You're supposed to be in the desert and whatever, and collecting water and camels and sand or something. But anyway,
I'd be collecting water. I don't know about the camels.
camel is good.
Why would you collect sand
I'd be collecting the water and storing it in the camels.
in them? All right. Anyway, continue.
The game is good. It's Euro, but it's solid. It's only for 2. I really like it a lot. If that sounds good, check it out. Targi.
Yeah, it was on your worker placement list. I was trying to remember where, because you
Right.
just talked about this recently.
Right. Well, I just played it again actually the other day. This was like a week ago, and the game is still just I really enjoy it. I like it a lot.
All right.
All right, my number 8 is another war-themed 2-player game, and it's a game that really captured my attention because of the hidden movement mechanic, the programmed movement mechanic, rather. I'm sorry, not hidden movement, and that is Duel in the Dark. Duel in the
Oh
Dark.
wow.
Interesting. I thought you didn't like that mechanic.
No, I don't usually, but with this game, I really enjoyed it because it was completely thematic.
Right. It makes sense.
You have to
And it's not
program-
completely guessing because you're watching where the airplane's
Right.
going to go.
Right.
The RAF has to plan their movement of attack into Germany, and then the German player has to try to, blow up their planes before they get to their target, and then they also have to come back. So it's just a really cool game that completely captures had to have been a very tense environment for those RAF pilots and those German troops on the ground. So my number 8, Duel in the Dark.
All right. My number 8 is Star Trek Fleet Captains. A great. You could play this 3-player if you buy the Romulan expansion, but 2 players, the Federation versus the Klingons, or even if you have the expansion, Romulans versus Klingons or Romulans versus Federation. Super fun. Now, they haven't released any more expansions for it in a while, and I suspect they won't. I think they're done, but I think there's so much game in that box. That game is Star Trek in a box. Every card you play, all the ships, you can decide to be attack heavy. You can decide to go and do missions. You can teleport things. There's all the stuff from the classics from the series, from the Tribbles to that thing that comes through space that catches you up and makes you relive your life and all the happy moments from the...
The Langoliers?
This isn't Stephen King, the game. No, what's it called? The Rift or something? You know what I'm talking about? It's from
Rift.
Generations. Yeah, so that's in the game and all the different characters. It's very fun and entertaining. There's a lot of game in the box. The problem with the box is it's a gigantic size. It's one of the few boxes that doesn't fit on these shelves properly. But a great game, Star Trek Fleet Captains.
Number 7.
My number 7 is a game which I suspect is going to show up on at least one other person's list here, and that is a little game from Plaid Hat called Summoner Wars.
Good game.
Summoner Wars is it's basically a miniatures game with cards. It's a very simple miniatures game, but a miniatures game basically. And what I love about it is the fact that it's so tactical. You got so many interesting options, but there's still a lot of fun dice rolling, and there's still a lot of armies you can play with. Mm-hmm. There is just variety galore in this game, and I really like that. I love the artwork on the cards. I love that the games are quick, but like I said, the game does have just a good amount of tactics to it. It's got a good bite, so I really like it. So, my number 7, Summoner Wars, awesome game for 2.
Good pick.
All right, my number 7, Sam has already said, and that is Twilight Struggle. Wow. There's a lot of games that have been made in this series, and I think 1989 is a close contender for this. I think I like 1960 about the election between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. And, you know, they've made other games, and I haven't played all of them. There's still games coming out in that series. But Twilight Struggle, like you said, definitive Cold War. Since I grew up in the midst of this Cold War, or at the end of it, I guess, it's something that really resonates with me, and they did such a great job putting that in there.
Yeah, they did.
So, my number 7, Twilight Struggle.
Cool. All right.
Match.
My number 7 is a game that was actually included on Tom's casual list. But yes, exactly.
Get him.
The reason I'm including Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries specifically is because I think it is not as
casual.
How can I say it? Not casual.
Casual master.
It's not as nice. It's not as nice as the other games.
Nordic countries.
The other maps are made for
humans.
Stop trying to guess what I'm going to say. It's starting to creep
What do you
me out.
Google? He's typing it in, and let me fill in the rest.
It's the maps are made to withstand, I guess you could say, a larger number of players. So when you play them with 2 players, yeah, sure, the double links are only 1 link. That's the only thing.
Right.
But they're still large maps. If somebody cuts you off here, you can work your way around. Usually.
Right.
Usually. Ticket to Ride is such a Nordic Countries is such a tight map. It's only made for 3 players.
2 or 3, right? That's it.
It's 2 or 3. That's it. And so it's a tighter map, which means that some of that casuality—that's not really a word, I don't think, but hey, that's okay.
Tom Vassel's dictionary.
Some of that casualness is taken away because the tension is so tangible almost.
Right.
So it made my list on strategic games because strategic 2 players. Because of that tightness, because of that cutthroat board that it has.
Okay.
So that's that.
Cool. I was really hoping you were going to go for Cover Another Air.
Yeah. All right. I don't know that I completely agree, but I don't completely disagree either. So that was useful words. All right, let's go on.
Number 6.
Number 6 is a game that is not sold much in stores anymore, and they are talking about re-releasing it hopefully this year or next year, and that's Dungeon Twister from Asmodee. Dungeon Twister is a great 2-player game. Mm-hmm. It is a game where you have 8 fantasy people fighting 8 other fantasy people. Some evil magician has transported you all to this dungeon that twists. Anyhow.
Wow, you don't say!
Well, you know what? We got to make this clear because every time I say Dungeon Twister, many people are like, That sounds
That
kinky.
sounds weird. This is a family
Oh,
program.
move your sandal off my hand if you would.
Okay, so anyhow, but basically, these guys, you run through this dungeon using different actions on your turn, and each of the different people you have has special abilities, and you fight each other, and you get a point for every enemy that you kill, and for every person that you get over the line of your opponent. So there's two strategies you can go for. Take them out or just run by them. And then there's different equipment you can find. And once you add the expansions, they have so many different characters and equipments. But there's almost no luck in the game at all other than the initial setup. And you have this card combat, which is something that is in the game you like, the Lord of the Rings Confrontation.
Right.
Has that same combat. I think it's a really great game. But if you play someone who's played it before, they're going to beat you. It's going to happen.
Yeah, more
More likely than not. And I like the game for that. They did Dungeon Twister Prison, which was basically the second edition with miniatures, and that never took off, unfortunately.
It was also extremely expensive.
Yeah, but I still think the game is an absolute great one. So, not Dungeon Twister.
Yeah, if you're good at rearranging spatial organizations and seeing paths, that you probably do pretty good at the game.
Right.
That's pretty much at the crux of that whole mechanic is being able to see paths that aren't there yet, but how you can make them as you go along.
Cool. All right, that's me.
Yep.
All right, my number 6 is an Asmodee game in a really big box, but it's only for 2 people, and that's Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is basically a dungeon crawl. It's my kind of dungeon crawl. It's
Boring.
boring. It's Euro-y, actually. The mechanics are interesting. They are a nice twist on the typical your guy slowly dies or whatever because you have to put the peg in the spot that can no longer be triggered on the character sheet. Anyway, it's Euro-y a little bit, but it's quick. It plays in like an hour, 45 minutes. It's got some discovery because you're kind of walking around the catacombs or whatever and flipping over tiles. I really like it. It's one of my favorite 2-player games. I know these guys. I don't think either one of you is really.
I don't know if you've played it, have you?
I've never played it.
Oh, okay. But I really like it. Claustrophobia, my number 6.
Here's the reason I wasn't a huge fan of it. I mentioned that I wasn't a huge fan of the theme, and people caught up in that, but that's not why I was a big fan. I think there's some really great mechanisms in it.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that bothered me about the theme is that your people had no flavor to them.
Right.
You were convict number 1 and convict number 2.
Yeah.
But to me, I just found it boring. The people that you fought, the bad guys, are the same people over and over again. They have minor differences amongst them. And I wish that there was like a variety, like, oh, we turn a corner, now there's goblins, and now there's, gargoyles, and that they would be different things.
Sure.
And I just thought it was too simple for me, I guess.
Right. Which is why I like it, because it is simple. That's how they can squeeze in the dungeon crawl feel in like 45 minutes.
But I know a lot of people do really like it,
So if you want a big dungeon crawl game, this might not be it,
All right, my number 6 is a game that
Descent.
was actually on my 3-player game because I usually do play it with 3 players. But it's not the one that you've mentioned.
Oh, okay.
What?
So shut up. Yeah, I said.
You keep misleading
Just cut
us,
it out
man.
right now.
Keep doing it.
Tannhauser is a 2-player game, and it is.
Was it on your 3-player list?
Yes, it was. Because I usually play a 3-player with my boys. I give.
Wow, we
them
didn't
one
call him
team.
out for that? We were being nice that day.
Yeah,
All right.
no, you were not being nice that day. But anyway,
cut me,
this
man.
is a 2-player game, and it is definitely not casual. It has too much going on. Building your team, each person has different skill sets that you have to choose from, and there's just way too much that you have to do in order to get ready for the game for this to be considered a casual game.
Right.
The gameplay is very simple. The line of sight mechanism and where you move and what you can affect is one of the best, I think one of the most innovative line of sight systems that's out there. And I'm surprised nobody has taken it and run with it. But Tannhauser is a really great game. Unfortunately, it is on the cusp of becoming hard to get a hold of. So if you have any inkling, the miniatures are great. They're all pre-painted and they're really good paint jobs. The boards they're busy, but it fits. It's basically a first-person shooter on a board game. That's basically what it is, but you're controlling a whole team, not just one person. So Tannhauser is definitely one of the shoe-ins for my list.
All right.
Number 5.
Now, my number 5 is another game that was on my 3-player list.
Oh, come on.
Because I usually play it with 3 players, me and my 2 boys. I enjoy it with 3 players, so it was good, but it is just a 2-player game. And that's X-Wing Miniatures.
I have nothing to say. I feel so vindicated right now.
Like a small
Okay,
fiddle.
look, the whole thing about the 3-player game was games that we enjoy playing with 3 players. They're not just 3-player games. So,
I'm just. Well, that's going to be a GIF.
Yeah. Huh. Somebody
okay,
loop
so
that.
anyway, for everything
Send
that
it
Tom
to me.
said about it, this is a game that you probably should go out and pick up. If you enjoyed the whole Wings of War game, maybe you didn't even know that game existed, where World War II and World War I planes were...
It's called
duking it
Wings
out.
of Glory now.
Yeah, it's called Wings of Glory now. It was Wings of War when it first came out. But if you enjoyed that game, or if you even enjoy the idea of dogfighting combat, this is really where it's at. The whole attack wing thing, whatever. This is really a dogfighting game, and capital class ships don't dogfight, so attack wing, go home. This Star Wars X-Wing is the game, the theme that this game needs to have on it.
I didn't mention Star Wars Trek because it's a 3-player game. But anyhow,
Did you just say Star Wars Trek?
I corrected
Now we
myself.
see how convoluted his mind is.
Okay. Go, sir.
All right, my number 5 is Race for the Galaxy. A nice, deep, heavily deep in symbols game that I really like, but it's kind of a beast to teach.
Yeah, it is.
And the game is quick, too. The game plays in about 30 minutes, but it takes you that much to teach it, probably, because the symbology is crazy, and there are a lot of things you can do in the game, but I love it. If you're playing with someone who knows how to play the game already, and if you play with a 2-player variant, which you don't have to, but I like it, where each person picks 2 roles instead of just one, you get to do that much more. It's a great card game, absolutely one of my favorite card games, and it is good at most numbers, but it is also really, really good at 2 because of that slight tweak. So,
All right.
my number 5, Race for the Galaxy.
Cool.
My number 5 is actually I consider it as a war game or miniatures game, and that is Battleground Fantasy Warfare. Really enjoyed that with 2. I know that Sam's not as big a fan of it as I am, but I have so many sets of it here. This is a gigantic army that's inside a box. This is a Lizardman army. There's thousands and thousands of points. What, are you mocking me? This is all you need to play tons and tons and tons of games. I think the system itself is fun. I like the fact you can write on the cards to show they've taken hit points. Each army has a very different feel. They've been supporting it. There's even new armies coming out this year. It's been out for almost a decade now. You're looking for something better?
No, I'm looking for a specific game that has totally invalidated the game you're talking about right now.
I can't think of anything that invalidates
I
this.
do. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We need a pictorial representation. I'm going to make you look one up and flash it up there on the screen anyway.
Maybe I won't now. Anyway, Battleground Fantasy Warfare, too heavy for Z. Sam doesn't like it because he likes actual miniatures, but I love this game.
It's actually not a bad game, but it's just been invalidated by another one.
And here it is now.
No!
No.
Number 4.
All right. My number 4, strategic 2-player game, has already been mentioned
Stratego.
by one individual.
Is it me?
Yes, it is. Battlelore 2nd Edition.
Oh no, he's a Battler, first edition.
I know.
Wrong.
Well, he said Battlelore.
Yeah, that counts.
So it's Battlelore 2nd Edition. And really, it's on the strategic games list and not on the casual list for the exact reason that we stated earlier. Memoir was on the casual list because it just doesn't have as many rules to keep track of.
Right.
When you have Battlelore, you've got a whole lot of stuff. 2nd Edition, I think, is on another level even from Battlelore 1st Edition.
Play the first one also.
Yes, yeah, I owned and played the first one for a long time, and we've just recently played the 2nd Edition. But Battlelore 2nd Edition, all your units have special rules, And
Well, you also build your army, and
build
that's
your
not a
army,
memoir.
You help. It's not just a vanilla setup for the board. You actually choose. There's a lot of different things that even differentiate this and make it a little bit more complicated from Battlelore First Edition. So that's why it made my strategic 2-player game list Battlelore Second Edition.
All right, my number 4, the box, I believe, said it's able to be played between 2 and 17 people, but I almost only play it with 2 players exclusively, and that is Duel of Ages 2, which, if we had done this list a few years ago, would have been Duel of Ages. But Duel of Ages 2 basically replaces Duel of Ages in every way. It is a game similar to HeroScape in theme, where you have people throughout history. Like on my team, I might have Venya, some robot from the future, with Genghis Khan and Buffalo Bill. And Buffalo Bill has a flamethrower, and Genghis Khan has a chainsaw. And Annie Oakley's in the game, and she's riding a buffalo, shooting. She's on a skateboard with a baseball bat. So you fight each other, but you do. I mean, it's a really crazy game, thematic. You're doing all these weird things, but there's lots of strategy. There's lots of laugh out loud moments. It's the craziest theme ever. But there's a lot of game in there too. Now, you've never actually played this.
I played the first one, Duel of Ages.
You were not impressed.
I was not happy with my one play of it. I only played once. I'll give it that. But yeah.
Who did you play with? Was it Christian? Okay, so anyhow, you should play Duel of Ages 2 with me.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so anyway, what's your number 4?
All right. My number 4 is a game which was actually on Tom's list last time, his casual list, and I felt there was a little too much going on for that list, so I put it on this one. Jambo is my number 4.
Okay, I knew you liked Jambo.
I love Jambo. It's absolutely one of my favorite 2-player games, but I just felt there was a little too much going on for it for me to put it on the other list. There's every single card in the game has text, or almost. Some of the wares don't.
People can read.
No, but there's a lot of interaction. The game's very in your face. There's a whole economic game going on as well. There's a lot going on. I think a person who is a non-gamer would have a hard time sort of latching on to what they should be doing. And the game has, I like it a lot because there's the really in-your-face stuff, and then the economic side can be subtle. Sometimes you go through like 3 steps just to make 1 extra coin than you would have another way, So I like it a lot. Tricky card play, neat card game, Jambo, love it. Number 4.
Yeah, the more text you add to a game, the more symbols you add to a game, the more
I know. I'm just
complexity.
messing with Z. I still think it's casual, but fair
Yeah,
enough.
but my list definitely is, both lists are probably lighter than both of yours.
This is casual part 2.
Probably so.
Number 3.
My number 3 is one of 2 different games because they're basically the same game. War of Indines or Devastation of Indines, basically the BattleCon system. And that's a 2-player fighting system in which think of it as Street Fighter, the card game, where you take 2 characters and go up against each other. And somebody, I don't remember who was talking to me, was asking why that wasn't in my casual game list. Was it you?
Nope.
Oh, no, never mind. It was Jason. He said, that's a casual game. And I said, it's not casual because every time you have to turn over these 2 cards, and the way that these people interact, and there's, the step, it's, once you know how to play the
If that's
game.
not casual, then Jambo's not casual. You know?
Okay, you're just throwing out words.
No, really. I mean, those games are about the same complexity. Wouldn't
No,
you say
they're
so?
not.
I really have only played Jambo a few times, and I didn't like it very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only played this a few times as well.
And you didn't like it very much?
And I never really tried to compare the 2, so I really don't know.
Why would you compare the 2?
No, you wouldn't. But
All right, I think that the play is, there's a lot, especially with all the different combinations of characters and things. I think it's a very deep game. I think it's a very underrated game. Not enough people are talking about it. Fantastic game. War of Indines or Devastation of Indines.
Yeah, I'm just not on the hyperactivity boat here. I mean, it's an okay game that makes me think of Mortal Kombat. That's about it.
Well, maybe, but I like it a lot. And it's a sister game to it. Almost made my list, was like number 12, and that was Pixel Tactics.
Yeah.
A very fun little game.
Haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Welcome back.
Well, at least your lid was on your cup.
Yes, it was. That's okay.
So anyway, all right. So anyhow, You're number 3.
My number 3 is a game by Bruno Catala, and this is Mr. Jack in New York.
Are you kidding me? That's a strategic game? That's a casual game.
No, there's a lot going on in this game, and the reason
there's
I
not.
put Mr. Jack in New York is because I did feel like Mr. Jack in New York is a lot more open-ended, and there's a lot more to think about than the first one, Mr. Jack.
Yeah, there's like 2 more things.
No, I mean, the game is, the board in the first one doesn't change. The second one, the board starts almost entirely empty, and you choose where things go on that board.
Woo!
So it's just the puzzle aspect really ramps up, and that's why I put it on here, because I do feel like this is like a puzzle in a game. If you want a game that feels like you're trying to solve a puzzle, trying to figure something out, the Mr. Jack series, and especially this one being the heaviest, is the way to go with that. So, my number 3, Mr. Jack in New York. Awesome.
I'm just not a fan of the series. I find them simplistic and boring.
I like the theme. I like the whole sleuth trying to find out where the guy
Right.
is. And I like that idea of it. I just never really caught on to the game that much.
So you're
You
picking
played
this one?
also.
I've not played Mr. Jack in New York. I've played the Mr. Jack Pocket, and I played the big
Pocket's very simple compared to the other
It's
one.
better, but it's like saying if there's mashed potatoes with no salt, no flavor in them, and you add a tiny bit of salt. That's the same thing. It's a little better, I guess.
It's one of my.
What about
favorites.
Phantom of the Opera?
Such
That one's very nice as well, but it's considerably lighter.
Is it? So you'd say New York is the most complicated?
New York is the most open-ended, the most puzzly one out of all of
Okay.
them.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, what's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 is a game that can be played with more than 2.
But
It was on your 3-player list?
No, it wasn't. I don't know if it was or not. It may have been because it does play well with 3.
because everything was on that list.
But now we're getting into games that I would want to pull out if I only had 2 players. And I had somebody sitting across the table that was a strategically minded person. And so Small World is one of those ones that I would pull out.
Small world.
Wow.
It is a easy to play game, but I think it is all the combos, how all the combos work together when you put them all on the board at the same time, the different rules that have to be remembered for those combos. I think it's a strategic level game. It's not casual. There's a lot of stuff that you have to remember, and they keep coming out with more more combos and all this kind of stuff. So it's just kind of getting bigger and bigger. I don't think this is a casual game. I think it's a strategic level.
You seem awfully defensive. We didn't say anything yet.
Yeah,
I'm about
I know
to.
your faces though.
Well, okay, there's 2 things here. First of all,
That one right there.
I think you can play Small World with 2, but that never even occurs to me anymore.
It's kind of like bland potatoes.
It comes with a board.
Don't be taking my
It
stupid...
comes with a board for 2 players.
I understand that.
And
I
you can
just
play it with 2 players.
I know. I just don't think it's best with 2 players. I think it's okay with 2 players. But here's the thing: you said Memoir 44 on the casual one, and then you said, "Well, when I'm talking about the base game." But here with Small World, you're saying, "Well, when you add in all the combinations of the expansions."
No, I said it keeps getting worse. I think even with the base game,
See-
there's a lot of rules you got to remember. I mean, you got to know. If you don't know what this combination does, what do you have to do?
You look
You
on
have
a
to
little
go
chart.
You have to go look it up, and you have to see, does this work well together? Then you have to say, okay, well, I don't know, what does this one do? And there's 6 choices out there. There's 12 different things you got to look up.
All right,
It's casual.
I'm not arguing that. I don't know. I'm just saying that I taught this game to many people who don't know many board games, and it went over pretty well.
No, I understand that.
Well, then I
But
would say
bet
it was
you-
casual.
I bet you they were ready to stop playing the game after they were done. To hit you. I'm not going to answer. My hands are even folded.
I mean, you, the people that played with.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I'm surprised it's on your list. I would expect it to be on my list.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it didn't. It's not. It might have been in, I don't know, the 20s. But
As a 2-player game,
yeah, maybe.
you like a
Up there.
2-player?
It's all right, 2-player, but it's up there. You know. But it does seem like it's my complex list, strategic list, and your casual. You know what I mean?
I've already hit on one of your games, and I'm gonna hit on another one.
Yeah. Oh, let's keep going.
What are you trying to butter him up so he agrees with this pick?
Maybe even 2. Because I got a game that's about to come up that I'm surprised if it doesn't make your list, I'm gonna cry havoc.
Yes.
I want to hear it.
All right. On to number 2s.
Number 2.
Okay, I've only got 2 here to make Sam cry havoc. So my number 2 is an old Reiner Knizia game, which is one of my favorites still. It's been my favorite for a long time. One of my favorites for a long time. Blue Moon.
Okay. Yes,
Blue Moon.
I knew he loves Blue Moon.
About to come out again as Blue Moon Legends.
Quarter 3 now.
What's that?
Quarter 3 now. last I
Quarter
said.
3, 2014. Woo, can't wait. I have all this stuff already, and I still can't wait. I really like it. It's, again, one of my favorite 2-player games. To me, it feels like a simpler, push-your-luck Magic the Gathering. I mean, considerably simpler than Magic the Gathering, but it has a nice push-your-luck element to it, where you are trying to see how far you can push it till the other guy runs away, and you want to not be that guy, you know. I really like it. There's a lot of flavor, beautiful artwork, lots of different armies. Absolute hit for me. Blue Moon. Dose.
Okay.
Is that your number 2?
No.
Nah.
My number 2 is a game that I played probably more on iOS against a computer. But it is a 2-player game that I did play a lot in actual board, but I probably played it more on my iPhone back when I had an iPhone. And this is a tight, unforgiving game. A very unforgiving game. If you make mistakes, it's very hard to get back. Neuroshima Hex.
Wow.
Neuroshima Hex. A very tight, strategic 2-player game. And it's one of your favorite games. I'm pretty sure it's your
All right. Well.
most favorite, but we'll see. We'll see. I will cry havoc.
Okay. Well.
Get them pipes ready.
I like Neuroshima Hex a lot, and I've been schooled by someone in my play group pretty much every time we play it. One of these times I'll beat her.
All right, cool.
What?
Nothing. That was just funny the way you said that.
Just thought I'd point that out. Okay. Anyhow, my number 2, which I'm surprised hasn't been on your list so far. Oh no, it has been on your. No, it was on your list. That's right. That's Summoner Wars.
Yes,
Summoner
it was
Wars.
on my list.
Amazing
And I
2-player
figured it
game.
would be on yours.
Although I kind of disagree with Z. I don't think it's a miniatures game because lots of the cards are not miniatures cards. It's about being able to put. I mean, it has a little bit of a miniatures feel to it, but it's about manipulating that tiny deck of cards you have.
Yeah.
And not running out of them too fast. And knowing when to strike at your opponent's summoner, and every army feels different, and it's so easy to teach and play. I mean, I almost wanted to say casual, then I thought, nah, there's all these special abilities and everything.
So you're saying this couldn't be played with miniatures on a board?
No, because when you draw the card, you don't know whether it's a miniature or whether it's a special ability. You wouldn't be able to do that with miniatures.
I understand that, but it's still a miniatures game.
And I'm saying it's pseudo
It certainly
miniatures.
feels like one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I was saying.
But it is fun. It's a good tactical game, and I like it a lot. So my number 2, Summoner Wars.
And finally, number 1.
You thought the dice were gone.
They're back, baby.
All right, final number 1. Who's gonna? Is it high number goes first or high number goes last?
High number chooses.
Okay, high number chooses.
High number chooses.
All right. 2.
Fold.
Yeah, take your 6.
So high number.
Okay.
What do we
You'll go
do?
first. You'll go second. I'll go last.
Oh,
Boo. All right. Well, if you, I mean, I'm guessing if people followed me about games, you probably know what my number 1 is. You want to guess at it?
No.
no.
Thanks. That was exciting. Okay.
I'm not. The games used to be over here, so I could go. Now they're behind me. I gotta look. I don't know.
Okay. So my number 1 is very similar in theme to Summoner Wars, but much more involved, and that's Mage Wars. Mage Wars, I just absolutely love the game. I love taking a mage and building a book of cards. I like Magic, the Gathering a lot. Like I said, it's my number 11. And another game I like a lot is Warlord, which is a similar feel.
Right.
And that was also on my list. I love those games. I love Pixel Tactics. They all have that same theme, but Mage Wars does it the best. Now, it is by far definite on this list. No way is anyone going to say it's a casual game. No way. There's a lot going on. You have to build your spell book. And even if someone hands you a pre-built spell book,
You gotta read through.
there's a lot going on. Don't play this with anybody who's remotely AP, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Let me look through my spell book. Let me rip it out of your hands and beat you in the head with it.
Oh my.
Such violence.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're right. I
Dear.
should be saying violence. Okay, but no, but I love it a lot. I love the variety. I like that they strongly support the game. So much has come out. Even if they stop making new stuff for the game right now, there's a ton. I mean, behind me over here on the shelf directly behind me, I have a whole pile of spell books. You know, just these are some of my pre-made spell books for the different mages. I have them ready to go. You know, this is my Druid mage book, and this is, you know, a Beastmaster, and I like having this. It's a lot of fun to play with. So my number one, Mage Wars.
All right.
Cool.
Well, my number one is one that has been mentioned on both of these guys' lists.
Ooh, let me see.
So it is, I think,
Hold on now.
It is the one it's for me, it's the one go-to game if I want a strategic level 2-player game. This is the one I pull out first.
Hold on now.
It's the one I pull out first.
I already called it. Come on now.
Race
Just go.
for the Galaxy?
Wow.
It's been on both our lists? Summoner Wars.
failure at the cave. No, it's Summoner Wars.
I just said it.
Summoner Wars. Summoner Wars, absolutely Summoner Wars. And this one completely invalidates his little
Target?
No!
Yes,
No,
it does.
they're not even remotely the same.
Yes, they
Invalidates
are.
what?
Yes,
Battleground
they
Fantasy
are.
Warfare. A game where you have this big army fighting an army.
It
They're not even
completely-
close.
Completely invalidated.
How?
Look, because do I want to just go, okay, I'm going to move, or do I want to go, okay, give me another card for movement. I'm going to, it's
Okay, are you serious?
That's too far. I'm going to move it back.
Do you not have Warhammer 40k armies? Come on now.
I do, but you know how long it's been since I've played? And do you see Warhammer 40k on this list?
Which I thought was surprising,
No.
actually. I thought it would have been on your list.
No.
Did it make your short list?
No, it didn't. Because it's just, while I enjoy the game, this is, it's so far above.
Let me ask this. Does
strategic
Summoner
level.
Wars invalidate Warhammer 40k then?
Yeah, to an extent.
Not the same genre.
extent.
I can understand you saying it's a better game.
It's a miniatures game with cards. It's moving a few units around the board. It's a squad level miniatures game with cards. That's what it is. It's a squad
No,
level.
they're not.
miniatures
They're not
game.
even
Yes,
in the
it is.
same category.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I do agree with Summoner Wars being a great game, though.
There you go. Number two. That's my number one. Summoner Wars. What's your number one, Z?
Okay, my number one is a game that has been mentioned recently. Recently, possibly not on this list. My number one is Caverna.
You can't even do it with a straight face.
Caverna.
Caverna!
My number one is Neuroshima Hex.
I knew it! Ah! I didn't cry Havoc though.
Oh,
No, it's because he
right.
did have it on the list. You said if he didn't.
If you
yes,
didn't
I
know
know.
what
That was
Havoc.
near Havoc, though. That was sort of close.
You have everything for this game, right?
I do have everything for this game.
Except for the new assassin tile.
Sure, yeah, which you will have, and I shall have as well.
Have it.
I'll make him pay for it. Dance, monkey!
Now, I want a gif of that with what Sam was doing, back and forth.
Okay.
All right, Neuroshima Hex. This is my favorite tactical, again, war game where it just feels like there's this build and this puzzle being put together, and finally somebody drops a hammer and it's like bam, and
Yeah.
you start cutting throats.
Yeah.
It's just, and then after a fight, like half the board is gone.
gone.
You know what I mean? You have like it builds, and then the fight triggers and everybody dies.
Hey,
It's
now I
just-
got room to put my new guys out.
Right, and it's just, I love it. It's quick, but the tactics are through the roof. The
Yeah.
rules are not that easy, so there is some stuff going on there. But
Yep.
I just love that it gives you so much to think about, and the placement of it is great. So, absolutely, my favorite strategic two-player game, Neuroshima Hex.
All right.
Called it.
All right, well, those are our top 10 two-player strategic games. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you get most of it. Unlike our last list, most of these games, not all of them, but most of them are still in print. Most of them are easily findable. I would, hey, you know what, folks, if you might want to, in the comments, say what kind of top 10s you'd like to see us do next. But if I can kind of cut you off before you say it, don't say top 10 solitaires, because I don't play solitaire games ever. And I don't know if you play them much at all.
I don't think I'd have enough, honestly, for a top 10 list.
I hate solitaire games.
Well, I don't hate them. I just play them on the computer.
I hate solitaire games.
Okay.
They're really, really boring. boring.
I'll give you my top like 5 on Twitter.
Anyhow, but maybe you have some other ideas. We'll certainly think them over and look them over. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Have a good one.
And I'm the one that called Z's number 1, Sam Healy.